If this is the case, I think we're all safe here. If not, then I think he will have no option but to go to the military option. And here he will also have legitimacy, because if the Iranians will not agree to the terms, then certainly he will have much more legitimacy to strike Iran.
So, not content with having his eye on Greenland, Canada and the Panama Canal, President Trump now has Gaza in his sights for a land grab. You do wonder if Scotland's Isle of Lewis can be far behind, since that's where his beloved mum was from. Trump says America would take over Gaza, own it and develop it, turning it into, his words, the Riviera of the Middle East, from what he calls the demolition site it currently is. That's what the minor problem of the 2 million Palestinians who call it home. Well, Trump says they can be relocated to Jordan and Egypt, though some might be allowed back into his new Riviera. Trump's latest wheeze caught everybody on the hop. The Arab world quickly made it clear it wanted nothing to do with it. Egypt and Jordan have no interest in absorbing a couple of million more Palestinians who tend to be disruptive. And the best Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, the first leader to visit Trump in the White House, could think of saying was to commend him for thinking outside the box. It certainly was that. So how to handle this? Do we follow Trump down another rabbit hole which leads to nowhere, never again seeing the light of day? Or, while discounting the overall substance of his mission, impossible, consider whether it might nevertheless signal the start of a different approach? I'm joined now by Danny Ayalon. He's a former Israeli ambassador to the United States, now chair of Silver Road Capital. Thank you for joining me. Let me just ask you a broad question to start things off. Is this Trump vision for Gaza realistic, or is it pie in the sky?
Well, it's definitely premature to make a decision now about it, or an opinion about it, but it certainly is a fresh idea out of the box. I would say that technically, before we go into the content of this, that we see a style. We see now in there is a consistent, I would say, method where Trump makes a very high bar for any issue he wants to negotiate on. And perhaps, you can from that only come down into some happy middle. This was the case with Canada, with Mexico, and many other things. Here, on the one hand, he's right. And I'm sure as a real estate magnate, he understands what is the demolition side. It is really unlivable, the area right now. And in order to make things, I would say, in a seamless operation, I guess it would make sense to clear the area, build it, and then bring back the population, especially as what he said about Egypt, at least, the vast expanse of vacant land in the Sinai, which is just adjacent to Gaza, maybe makes sense, but definitely you cannot do it without the agreement, the consent of the tenants of Gaza.
Well, at least what Mr. Trump does, it makes you think, because no one has any great ideas at the moment about what to do with Gaza. It's a real difficulty where we go from here. So let's try and unpick his idea, which he's at least thrown out for discussion. He says that America would own Gaza. That's his word. So I assume it becomes American sovereign territory. How would that happen?
Yeah, I cannot decipher what he meant by America would own that, except that I think from his point of view, maybe he sees this as a source of income, because if indeed American real estate companies and construction companies are the ones who will rebuild Gaza, then certainly the U.S. government can collect billions, maybe even a few dozen billions of dollars. So I think this is maybe how we should look at it. Otherwise, I wouldn't imagine that he really wants to take Gaza and put it as a star on the American stripes.
No, he's still trying for Canada first, I think. What would happen to the 2 million Palestinians that have lived there. Mr. Trump says Jordan and Egypt should take them in, but you know better than me, they won't.
No, they won't, and certainly they will not say anything otherwise. But maybe he thinks that they need some coercion, some maybe cajoling. From the Arab perspective, no Arab leader in his right mind would say that he welcomes the Palestinians, even for a short period of time. But maybe he expects that they could come. Let's say Mr. Assisi from Egypt, if he can come to his people or to the Palestinians and say, listen, it makes sense. Let's try it, especially as Sisi needs American dollars. He needs American political support and military support. And maybe on top of that, Trump will offer him even more money. So that would be a different story where Sisi may find it a little bit more difficult to refuse. Maybe even the people of Egypt may benefit from it by getting more subsidies or more funds from the United States. And then, of course, the Palestinians, they are the ones that should agree to that if indeed they are interested. That's a different story. But certainly a fresh idea here.
Well, I suspect that the leader of Egypt would be a bit more worried about the Muslim Brotherhood than even getting money to take in Palestinians. How about Israel? Would Israel take a share of them?
I don't think so, because Israel is.
Neither do I.
Yeah, we have a very, very small territory. I would say if you look at the Middle East, Israel makes less than 1/3 of 1%. So this is not a feasible idea, even from a technical position.
You're also, Ambassador, end with a problem because a lot of the Gazans are now back. They've moved back up north. It's obviously a terrible situation. I mean, Mr. Trump is right. It is a demolition site from a lot of the pictures we see. Maybe not all of it, but huge chunks of it. But if we were ever to go down Mr. Trump's road, what would happen if the Palestinians simply refused to be relocated? You can imagine the terrible pictures of any attempted forced relocation of the Palestinians.
Yes, I do not believe that the whole exercise is feasible, and to do it under coercion. If they do not willingly agree to do that, I don't see how this can happen. But there may be another aspect here of a negotiation tactics where they will have a choice. Either they stay, of course, and until Gaza is rebuilt, but then there will be another political price, and that is that the Hamas will have to relocate. That means the Hamas terrorists, their leadership, and this is also something that both President Biden and President Trump share, that Hamas not be left to its own devices in Gaza.
Well, of course, if you could get the Hamas leadership out of Gaza, that would be a way forward. But I think, although it's, some people are smiling at Mr. Trump's suggestion, not taking it seriously, but actually, when you stand back a bit, I suppose the danger is that the Palestinians and most Arab governments, even Arab governments that see themselves as allies of America and even of Israel, that they'll see it as just another land grab, that it would leave the Palestinian then with only bits of the West Bank and no hope of there ever being a Palestinian state. That's the negative message a lot of people will take. I was struck, Ambassador, by how quickly the Saudis really issued a major rebuke, calling it, quote, an unequivocal rejection.
Right. And again, this, I think, was to be expected. You were right. Politically, no Arab leader can accept that. And again, could be just a negotiation tactics. We'll have to wait and see, because really is a bombshell, really is out of the box. He put it on the table. And I think also it's for him is like an experiment. to see what will be the fallout from that. So far, it seems like it's not going to fly, this idea.
It's also a slight puzzle that he's gone down this road, given the rejection from the Saudis, because one of the foreign policy achievements of Mr. Trump in his first term was, of course, the Abraham Accords. And his hope is that the Saudis will now join with the UAE and Bahrain and some other countries, the Abraham Accords, which were a major breakthrough in many ways. And Israel was very happy for them. Israel would like the Saudis to join and normalize relations with them the way they have with the UAE. But this has made it very difficult for Riyadh now to go down that road, has it not?
Yes, it has, unless we put the axis, the impetus now on Iran, because this is something which is even more on the mind of the Arab countries in the region, the Sunni countries in the region, very fearful of Iran and its illegal nuclear ambitions and infrastructure. So here it's another way or another tool that Trump throws into his toolbox. So he has many moving parts that he can flexibly negotiate with. Certainly, Saudi Arabia would like to have a treaty, a defense treaty with the United States. They also would like to have other benefits from that. And they know in order to get that, they would need to make peace with Israel. Also, it's in Saudi interest, because only through a American-led or Western-led alliance here in the region can they isolate Iran and, I would say, keep it at bay, certainly when it comes to terrorism, to subversion, and, of course, the nuclear issue.
What indications have you had? You mentioned Iran, which, of course, is the big problem, in some ways bigger than what we've just been talking about. But Mr. Trump comes to power when Iran is now seriously weakened. It's lost its proxy in Gaza, Hamas. There has been the decapitation of Hezbollah, its most powerful proxy. It's lost the routes through Syria, whereby it supplied these proxies with men and materiel and money. The regime itself has spent a lot of money on these proxies. The Iranian people didn't like it. The Iranian regime now looks pretty fragile when you add all that together. Where do you think Mr. Trump might go now with Iran?
Well, with Iran, I believe, and he said it himself, that he would opt for the political route, indeed, if Iran complies. The first thing he did was to snap back the maximum pressure on Iran. That means bringing back all these sanctions on the regime. He also has some credible, I would say, military threat. And with this, he does not, I don't think he would like to strike tomorrow, but he would like actually to bring the Iranians into the negotiation table. And indeed, on different terms, because the deal, the JCPOA deal of 2015, was not airtight. And indeed, we see the situation now, how Iran was left actually with all the capabilities. So they could, in spite of their signing to this agreement, nuclear agreement of 2015, they are so close now. So I guess he would like to have a different, what he would call a longer and stronger deal with Iran, to make sure that they are not in any position in the future, no matter how far, they can just do what they want on the nuclear issue. If this is the case, I think we're all safe here. If not, then I think he will have no option but to go to the military option. And here he will also have legitimacy, because if the Iranians will not agree to the terms, then certainly he will have much more legitimacy to strike Iran.
But if striking Iran was on the cards, Ambassador, my final question to you, what would that strike be? Should it be a strike to take out Iran's nuclear development facilities, or should it aim to decapitate the regime, knowing that it's already weak and that probably a majority of Iranian people would like rid of it?
Yes, I think that the answer is right in your question. I don't think that decapitating the regime would help. Actually, it could have just a counter effect where the people just go around the flag, become more nationalistic. I think it would be much better to go after the infrastructure. This can be done and let the regime fall by itself, which I think because due to the dire situation in Iran, socially, economically, and of course, after the devastating blow that it received from Israel following the massacre of the 7th of October, this regime lost a lot of face and credibility, not just in the region, but also within Iran itself. So I don't think we should touch a falling tree, if I may, which is on its way down anyway.
Right, I understand. Ambassador, thank you for joining us. It's been good to talk to you. Come and talk to us again when we get Mr. Trump's next statement on the Middle East. You never know when that's going to be. That's Danny Ayalon. He's a former Israeli ambassador to the United States, by far the most important diplomatic appointment that Israel has.